Welcome back to Reddit Stories, where we fearlessly delve into the darkest family secrets, the thin lines of trust, and the am I the bad guy, moments that leave the community breathless. Today, we're diving into a story that shook the foundations of a marriage, revolving around a question that could destroy it all. Is that child his? In a relationship, trust is everything. But what happens when the red flags start to appear, and you're faced with a difficult choice? Face the truth, or live in perpetual doubt? The story is titled AITA for telling my husband he needs a paternity test. Is OP an overly suspicious wife, someone who acted on solid evidence, or someone who destroyed the trust in her marriage with her own hands? Find out and let us know what you think. This story comes from Reddit user Use PaternityPuzzle. Well, call her OP, a woman who is facing a difficult truth in her own marriage. OP and her husband, whom we'll call husband Mark, have been married for 5 years. Their marriage was initially happy and based on mutual trust. They had a stable life and were looking forward to having children. However, Mark had a rather complicated past. Before meeting OP, he was in a long-term relationship with another woman, whom we'll call ex-GF Jessica. About a year ago, Jessica suddenly contacted Mark, saying that she was having a hard time and needed some financial help. Mark, being kind-hearted, agreed to help. OP didn't suspect anything at the time. However, a few months later, Jessica announced that she had a child, a baby boy. She said she got pregnant shortly after breaking up with Mark, and the baby was from another man. Things started to get strange when Jessica kept trying to contact Mark, not only about financial matters, but also regularly sending pictures of the baby, talking about how the baby was growing, and even inviting Mark to visit. At first, OP thought it was the behavior of a single mother seeking help from old friends, but something started to gnaw at her mind. The tipping point came when OP accidentally saw a few pictures of the baby that Jessica sent to Mark. The baby, a 6-month-old boy, had very similar features to Mark. From the face, the eyes, to the smile, everything was strangely reminiscent of Mark. OP tried to dismiss the thought, but her suspicions grew. She started paying more attention to the conversations between Mark and Jessica and felt that something was not clear. OP started recalling the time when Jessica said she was pregnant. It coincided suspiciously with the time when Mark and Jessica were still dating, despite being close to breaking up. And the reason Jessica was always trying to keep Mark in her life, always trying to show Mark the baby, made OP feel extremely insecure. She didn't want to be the suspicious wife, but this visual evidence was too hard to ignore. OP spent many sleepless nights debating whether to keep quiet to protect her marriage or face a truth that could shatter everything. Eventually, her doubts were too great to bear, and her fears were overcome. OP felt she needed to know the truth, not only for herself, but for their marriage. She couldn't live with this doubt forever. One evening, OP decided to confront Mark. She was prepared for a difficult conversation. She sat down with Mark, talked about her concerns, about the uncanny resemblance of the baby to him, and about Jessica's continued contact. Finally, in a shaky but determined voice, OP told Mark, "Mark, you need to get a paternity test for Jessica's baby. I need to know the truth." Mark was completely shocked. He immediately became angry. He accused OP of being distrustful, paranoid, and destroyed their marriage with baseless accusations. Mark firmly stated that the baby was not his, that he and Jessica had broken up before she became pregnant, and that OP was insulting their love. Mark vehemently refused to take the test. He said it was an insult to him and to their marriage. He also said that OP asking for it showed she no longer trusted him. The argument became heated, with Mark feeling betrayed by OP's suspicions, and OP feeling hurt by Mark's denial and the possibility of the truth being hidden. Mark and OP's families, who also knew about Jessica's situation, also quickly learned of the argument. Some supported Mark, saying that OP was overreacting and ruining happiness. Others understood OP's concerns but didn't dare to intervene. OP felt completely isolated and misunderstood. She didn't know if she was really a bad person for putting her faith in such a big challenge. To find answers, OP posted her story on Reddit and asked the community, AITA. OP's post exploded on Reddit, garnering tens of thousands of comments and hundreds of thousands of upvotes. The thread touched some of the most sensitive nerves about trust in marriage, betrayal, and parental responsibility. The community was divided, but one faction emerged as the clear winner. The vast majority of Redditors sided with OP, insisting that she was not a bad person at all. They emphasized that OP's suspicions were legitimate and that demanding the truth was necessary for a marriage. Featured comment: a faithful husband with nothing to hide would never refuse a DNA test when his wife had legitimate reasons to doubt. His anger and accusations of lack of trust only fueled suspicion. He has something to hide. This comment received tens of thousands of upvotes and multiple Reddit awards. If he is innocent, a DNA test will prove it and put an end to all your doubts. Denying it only shows that he is likely the father. You have every right to know the truth. This isn't about distrust. This is about transparency and truth. Your marriage can't survive on lies or suspicion. You are protecting your marriage by seeking the truth. Oh, the baby looks exactly like him, but he didn't think twice and didn't want to test? Yeah, that sounds pretty believable. I know how you feel. Living in doubt is worse than facing the truth. You did the right thing for your mental health and the future of your marriage. Some comments try to give a more balanced perspective or gently criticize both parties' actions. ESH. Mark is AITA for being so harsh and possibly having something to hide. But OP is also AITA in part for making this request so bluntly without being prepared for his reaction. This will cause a huge breach of trust. NaH. This is a difficult situation for both parties. OP has a right to know the truth, and Mark has a right to feel offended by the suspicion. What matters is how they handle this situation going forward. That's an extremely small number. A few comments may try to criticize OP for being suspicious or lacking trust. YTA. Marriage is about trust. Your request for a DNA test shows that you don't trust your husband. This will destroy your marriage no matter what the outcome. This comment is often strongly refuted and receives many downvotes from the community. In addition to the comment 1,000 times NTA mentioned above, another comment has also touched the hearts of many people and caused an emotional storm because of its deep analysis and empathy for OP. NTA. Faith does not mean blindness. When there are too many signs showing an uncomfortable truth, demanding transparency is your right. Mark's response to refusing to be tested says it all. A man with nothing to hide will be willing to do anything to ease his wife's worries. His actions have betrayed him. Don't back down, OP. You deserve to know the truth. This comment received thousands of upvotes and awards, emphasizing the psychological aspect of the story and the OP's autonomy. The Reddit community not only gave their verdict, but also actively engaged and expanded the topic, into many deeper discussions, offering advice and sharing personal experiences. Signs of infidelity/cover-up. Many users shared their experiences of signs of infidelity or cover-up in a relationship. Right to know the truth. The community emphasized the basic right of a spouse to know about their partner's children, even from a previous relationship. Consequences of cover-up. Many warned of the serious consequences of hiding the truth, including the collapse of trust and marriage. Cost and importance of DNA testing. Discuss the process and cost of DNA testing and the legal and emotional importance of it. Gaslighting and emotional manipulation. Many people accused Mark of gaslighting as he attempted to make OP feel crazy about her suspicions. Lawyer, expert advice. Many people advised OP to seek legal advice if Mark continues to refuse testing. Overall, the Reddit community has been overwhelmingly supportive of OP, seeing her actions as necessary to protect the truth and foundation of her marriage. After receiving overwhelming support from the Reddit community, OP has found strength to face this difficult situation. She has a few important updates about what happened next and how she is feeling now. Summary of updates. Mark finally agrees to take a test. After days of tension and arguments, and especially after OP showed Mark the Reddit comments and made it clear that she would not be able to continue with the marriage if the truth was not revealed, Mark finally agreed to take a DNA test. He was still angry and thought OP was overreacting, but he gave in under OP's pressure and the deterioration of the relationship. Test results. The results are back. And just as OP predicted, Mark is the biological father. The baby was conceived while Mark and Jessica were still in a relationship or had just broken up. Jessica lied to Mark and everyone else about who the father was to avoid trouble. Mark's reaction. Mark was completely shocked and devastated when he got the results. He tried to deny the truth at first, but the scientific evidence was undeniable. He felt deceived by Jessica and was also shocked that he had a child without knowing. Marital status. OP and Mark's marriage is on the rocks. Mark has apologized to OP for hiding and refusing to test, admitting that he was wrong for not being transparent. OP is very sad and disappointed. She needs time to process everything. They are considering marriage therapy. Next steps with Jessica. Mark is preparing legal procedures to confirm paternity and responsibility for his son. He will also confront Jessica about her hiding the truth. OP currently feels sad, betrayed, but also somewhat relieved that the truth has been revealed. She was heartbroken by her husband's, though perhaps unintentional, cheating, and Jessica's. However, she also felt relieved that she no longer lived in doubt. The future of her marriage was uncertain, but OP knew that finding out the truth was the first step to facing it. She still felt no regret for asking for the test because it was the only way she could move on with herself and have a chance at real happiness. OP's story is a clear example of how a lack of transparency and withholding the truth can destroy trust in a marriage. It highlights core issues of trust, betrayal, responsibility, and the importance of facing the truth. Conflicting emotions in the story OP's. Initially, anxiety and doubt. Then, determination to seek the truth. When confronted with Mark, heartache and disappointment. Finally, pain, betrayal, but also relief when the truth is revealed. Mark's possibly initial denial, possibly because he really didn't know or didn't want to believe. Then anger at being suspected. When faced with the results, shock, devastation, and regret. Jessica's, possibly deception, manipulation, and shirking responsibility as a single mother. The Reddit community, in this case, acted as an unbiased mentor and a powerful source of motivation. They provided overwhelming support to OP, helping her realize that her suspicions were justified and that she had a right to know the truth. The overwhelming response from the community gave OP the strength to confront Mark and insist on testing. This proves that Reddit can be a place to seek validation, advice, and motivation to face major challenges in life. Character Analysis OP, narrator, represents a strong wife who is not afraid to face the hard truth to protect the foundation of her marriage. She shows resilience and determination. Mark, husband, represents a man who may have been cheated on in the past, but then lacked transparency and avoided telling his wife the truth. His initial reaction shows either a lack of maturity or a fear of facing the consequences. Jessica, ex-GF, represents a woman who deliberately concealed the truth and manipulated the situation for her own benefit, causing suffering to others. Lessons learned. Trust is built on transparency. In a marriage, trust is not only about not doubting, but also about being transparent and willing to face all the truths, no matter how difficult. Hiding destroys trust. Listen to your intuition. If there are suspicious signs, don't ignore them. Your intuition may be trying to tell you something important. Right to the truth. Every spouse has the right to know about any children their partner has, even from a previous relationship. This is an important part of transparency in a marriage. Response of the suspected partner. An angry reaction, an unreasonable refusal when asked to clarify the truth is often a sign of hiding. Consequences of deception. Hiding the truth about children can have serious legal, financial, and emotional consequences, destroying relationships. The power of confrontation. Sometimes confronting the issue head-on, as scary as it may be, is the only way to find out the truth and begin the process of healing or ending a relationship. OP's story is a testament to how the truth always finds a way to come out, and facing it, even if it's painful, is the only way to find peace and justice. We hope this story serves as a reminder that trust in a marriage is precious and should be protected with absolute transparency. Never be afraid to seek the truth, no matter what you fear will happen. What do you think of this story? If you were OP, what would you do next? Have you ever faced a difficult truth in your relationship? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Thank you for following Reddit Stories. See you in the next story. Welcome to Reddit Stories, where we explore real-life stories, heated arguments, and am I a bad person? Moments that have taken Reddit by storm. Today, we're diving into a tense workplace situation where personal privacy was put on the line against a baseless accusation. Find out. AITA for refusing to let someone check my phone after a coworker accused me of taking her picture? Is OP, the original poster, a bad person, or is he just defending himself? Our story begins with a Reddit user named Throwaway CCXYZ. We'll call him OP for convenience. Hi everyone, I'm a 28-year-old male working in the engineering department of a mid-sized company. I'm not very social, but I always keep a polite attitude and I need some advice. I am in a rather uncomfortable situation at work and I don't know if I'm the bad guy. It all started last Wednesday. It started on a normal day when I walked into the break room for lunch. There were a few female co-workers there, including a new one named Claire. She was taking off her jacket to change into another shirt, still fully dressed, nothing revealing. I quickly turned away because I didn't want to make things awkward. Unexpectedly, just a few hours later, my boss called me up and said that someone had accused me of taking pictures of Karen while she was changing clothes. Allegations and requests for investigation. It all happened last Wednesday afternoon, right in the company cafeteria. I was sitting alone, scrolling through my phone during my lunch break. I was simply looking at some funny memes that my friends sent me, completely oblivious to the people around me. At that time, Karen was sitting a few tables away, talking on the phone quite loudly. Suddenly, a loud scream rang out, cutting through the quiet atmosphere of the cafeteria. "Did you just take a picture of me?" Karen stood up abruptly, her face red, pointing her finger straight at me. I was completely confused. I raised my head, the phone still in my hand. "What? No, I didn't take a picture of you." I immediately denied it, feeling extremely surprised and wronged. But Karen didn't stop. She started to get louder, attracting the attention of the entire cafeteria. "I saw it clearly. You pointed your phone at me and took pictures. What are you doing with those pictures?" The situation quickly escalated. Karen demanded that I let her see my phone to prove my innocence. She wanted to see my photo library, my camera roll right away. I felt like I had been slapped in the face. My phone was my personal property, containing a wealth of private information, from family photos to messages from friends to banking information and passwords. To be accused of something so baseless and then asked to search through my personal property was an insult beyond belief. With a firm tone, I refused. "No way, my phone is private. I have no obligation to show you anything. And I repeat, I did not take any pictures of you." Feelings of anger, humiliation, and injustice welled up inside me. I also thought that if I accepted, this would set an extremely bad precedent, making it possible for anyone to request to check my phone in the future just because of a frivolous accusation. A few colleagues and even a low-level manager came to check. Karen kept telling her version of the story, trying to call for sympathy and support from those around her. She even threatened, "If you don't show me, I will report to HR and senior management. You will be in big trouble." And Karen carried out her threat. The next morning, I received an email from Ms. Smith, the head of human resources, requesting an emergency meeting to discuss a serious issue related to workplace harassment. My heart sank. This is not what I wanted. The meeting took place that afternoon. In the meeting room were me, Karen, Ms. Smith from HR, and my direct manager, Mr. David. The atmosphere in the room was heavy and tense to the point of suffocation. Ms. Smith started. We have received a serious complaint from Karen about you taking her photo without her consent. We need to clarify this issue." Then it was Karen's turn. She told the whole story in her own way, emphasizing her fear and harassment. She still insisted. I asked him to show me my phone. That was the only evidence. It was my turn. I calmly presented the incident, firmly denying the accusation. I absolutely did not take Karen's photo. I was just using my personal phone to check the news. I had no reason to take her photo. I also clearly explained my privacy. My phone contains sensitive personal information. I can't just let anyone look at it, especially without any concrete evidence that I did anything wrong. However, the response from HR took me by surprise. Ms. Smith looked at me with disappointment. "I understand your privacy concerns, but in order to resolve this complaint and ensure a safe work environment for everyone, we are asking you to cooperate." Allowing us to review your recent photo library under HR's supervision will help clarify things. Ms. Smith added that failure to cooperate could be seen as obstructing an internal investigation and could lead to serious consequences. I felt backed into a corner. Ms. Smith, there is no evidence that I took a picture of Karen, because I didn't. Asking me to hand over my personal phone is completely unreasonable and an invasion of my privacy. The company does not have any policy that allows for that. If there is, please show me that clause in the employee handbook or my employment contract. I tried to stay calm, but my voice was filled with anger. Ms. Smith seemed dissatisfied with my answer. She reiterated that there would be consequences for not cooperating. The meeting ended without any resolution, leaving only a tense atmosphere and a threat hanging over my head. The following days were the worst days of my life at the company. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some colleagues were suspicious. Some looked at me with questioning eyes. Karen, needless to say, kept glancing at me, even deliberately avoiding me as if I was some kind of danger. The pressure from HR did not let up. I received an official email from Ms. Smith, warning me about not cooperating with the internal investigation, and emphasizing that this was the first step in the disciplinary process. I felt extremely anxious. Could I lose my job because of a baseless accusation, and because I had been so adamant about protecting my personal privacy? I spent hours searching for advice. I talked to friends who all advised me to never show my phone. I even did a cursory search of my local workplace privacy laws. Most sources said that a company has no right to search through a person's phone unless there is clear evidence of wrongdoing, and it is clearly stated in the policy. But the reality is that the laws are sometimes complicated, and a large company can find a way to pressure or even fire if they want to. My emotions are a mixture of anger at being wrongly accused, fear that I might lose my job, and isolation at being faced with a baseless accusation that no one can testify against. Chapter 4. Reddit post and wait. In a pinch and needing an objective perspective, I decided to turn to the Reddit community. I posted with the title, AITA for refusing to let someone check my phone after a coworker accused me of taking pictures of her. I presented the whole story as objectively as possible, from the initial incident, the HR meeting, to the current stress. I ended my post with the question, so AITA for standing up for her privacy and not letting them check her phone. Even though it could cost her her job, I really need your honesty. And as always, the Reddit community did not disappoint. Thousands of comments poured in, creating a strong wave of debate. Let's see what the community had to say. The majority of comments were in my favor, affirming that I am not a bad person at all. Here are some of the highlights. NTA. Your phone is personal property. The company has no right to search through it unless there is a court order or you work in an extremely sensitive field with clear regulations in your employment contract. This comment received thousands of upvotes. Your privacy is sacred. If they don't have proof, it's their problem, not yours. It is unprofessional and unfair for HR to ask you to cooperate without proof. Karen is clearly a troublemaker. HR is handling this poorly. Never give in to threats. Document every conversation with HR. Written evidence is always best. Get an employment attorney immediately. They may be violating your state/country's employment privacy laws. Ask HR for a written policy on checking personal phones. If they don't have one, they have no basis to do so. Although fewer, there were still some comments that tried to give a balanced perspective. or even gently criticized me. Me, I understand you're protecting your privacy, but if you really have nothing to hide, sometimes just showing them a quick look at your recent photo gallery under HR's supervision might have resolved things without this much tension. This comment was often strongly opposed by other NTAs. Maybe I overreacted. What if HR had just offered to see the recent photos? That might have helped diffuse the situation. I think neither side handled the situation well. Karen was pushy, HR was inflexible, and I was too rigid. Very few comments directly called me a bad person, but there were a few that suggested I should have been more flexible. YTA maybe. If you didn't do anything wrong, why not show them? Your refusal makes you look more suspicious, often strongly refuted by other commenters who argue that this is a dangerous nothing to hide, why be shy argument. One particular comment touched many hearts, bringing deep support and sympathy for the NTA. This isn't just about taking pictures or not taking pictures. This is about your rights, about how much the company can invade your personal space. If you give in this time, they will continue to demand. You are standing up for not only your rights, but the rights of everyone else there. Be strong, me. Don't let them bully you. This comment often receives the most awards and upvotes. The Reddit community is not only giving opinions, but also actively interacting, arguing back and forth about aspects of the story, debate over company policies. Many people shared their experiences with personal phone policies at different companies and discussed whether the company had the right to request an inspection. Discussion over labor laws. Some Redditors with legal knowledge gave specific advice about looking up labor laws in my area. Share experiences with Karen. Many people talked about their own Karen co-workers, creating empathy and advice on how to deal with difficult people. Proof issues. The community discussed how to prove innocence without evidence and how HR should handle such accusations. Overall, the Reddit community has been overwhelmingly supportive of me, arguing that I'm not a bad person. They've emphasized privacy, the need for evidence, and HR's lack of professionalism in handling the situation. After receiving thousands of comments from the community, I feel comforted and motivated. I have listened to everyone's advice and have some important updates for us. I received a formal warning letter from HR, citing lack of cooperation in the internal investigation. The letter also reminded OP of the terms of the employment contract regarding maintaining a peaceful and cooperative work environment. However, the letter did not mention that I took pictures of Karen. The pressure at work continued. Karen was still being nasty and spreading bad rumors about me. However, a bright spot appeared. A colleague named Mark, who was also at the cafeteria that day, came to me privately and said that he saw me just scrolling through my phone normally, without any action of taking pictures. Mark said he was willing to testify if necessary. This was a big ray of hope for me. With Mark's testimony, I requested another meeting with HR and David. During this meeting, Mark presented what he saw. Additionally, I emailed Ms. Smith asking for a written policy on checking personal phones and asked Ms. Smith to point out the clause that allowed for such action. Ms. Smith was unable to provide a clear policy. Faced with Mark's testimony and the lack of a clear policy, HR withdrew my warning. They also had a private conversation with Karen about her behavior, and Karen was asked to apologize to me. Although Karen's apology seemed insincere, I was ultimately vindicated. The atmosphere at the company gradually returned to normal, and OP kept her job. After all, I feel incredibly relieved. Although the process was stressful and exhausting, being vindicated and having my privacy protected has made me feel stronger. I am also incredibly grateful for the support and advice from the Reddit community who helped me get through the most difficult times. My story is not just a typical AITA case, but also a case study about privacy, truth, and how we deal with baseless accusations. Let's analyze it more deeply. In this story, we see a clear conflict of emotions. First is my anger and feeling of injustice when being falsely accused. Next is my anxiety and fear when facing the risk of losing my job. My determination to protect my personal privacy is also a notable point. On Karen's side, it could be paranoia, jealousy, or simply wanting to get attention. As for HR, they were in the crossfire, but their handling of the situation caused disappointment due to their lack of fairness and professionalism. The Reddit community has been incredibly important to this story. Not only has it been a place for me to vent, but it has also been a valuable source of information, advice, and emotional support. Thousands of people have come together to analyze the situation, offer legal advice, and offer encouragement. This shows the power of online communities to help individuals deal with life's challenges. OP, throwaway XCXYZ, represents the average person facing injustice. OP shows determination, principles, and the ability to stand up for themselves. Karen represents individuals who tend to be disruptive, thoughtless, or have malicious intent. Karen's actions highlight the issue of spreading rumors and false accusations in the workplace. HR, Ms. Smith, raises questions about the role and responsibilities of the HR department. Are they doing their part to protect the employees' rights, or are they simply protecting the company's interests? The lack of clarity in policy and the pressure on OP shows a lack of process. Takeaway: this story has many valuable lessons for all of us. Privacy is paramount. Personal phones are an extension of privacy. No one, including the company, has the right to arbitrarily check it unless there is clear, reasonable evidence and it is regulated by law or clearly communicated company policy. Always learn and document when faced with a stressful situation. Learn about your rights. Always document all relevant conversations, emails, and documents. Written evidence is highly valuable. Don't be afraid to seek help. Whether it's from friends, family, lawyers, or online communities like Reddit, getting an objective perspective and advice from others is essential. The truth always comes out. No matter how difficult it is, if you've done nothing wrong, the truth will eventually come out. Be persistent and don't give in to pressure. The importance of company policies. This story also serves as a reminder to companies of the importance of having clear, transparent privacy policies and complaint handling procedures. OP's story is a powerful example of how sometimes you have to fight for your rights and your truth, even if it means confronting those who have more power. We hope this story serves as a reminder to all of you. Always know your rights. Stand up for yourself when you believe you're right, and never let someone invade your personal space unreasonably. What do you think of this story? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Leave your comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for following Reddit Stories. See you in the next story.